everybody, it's Jack and Austin back with another episode of Coffee and Commoners. Jack, what are we drinking today?
Today, dear listeners, we are drinking a blend of coffee called Thieves Cant. This comes to us from our friends at foundfamiliar.com, and when I say friends, I mean the people I bought this from. We are not in any way sponsored by these people.
All this stuff is just stuff we have in our pantries, not sponsored.
Yes, indeed. Thieves Cant is a quote-unquote secret blend. It has flavor notes of black cherry, toffee, and toasted almonds. So hopefully we'll be able to taste a little bit of everything in there.
You said black cherry?
Black cherry.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I'm gonna take a sip now, folks.
All right.
That's good. Very subtle notes of all those things you listed.
I got cherry up front. I don't know about you.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the cream to sugar ratio that I put in there too. But
that might have something to do with it.
But yeah, tastes good as usual. It's better than Folgers. It's better than my workhorse coffee.
You and your workhorse Folgers. I really like this. This is one that I do enjoy drinking whenever I break this out of the pantry.
This is the second one we've done from them, though. What's the art on the front? Because they put art on all their bags.
Yes, they do. The art here is a piece entitled Thieves Cant, very fittingly. It is, oh my goodness, I'm going to butcher this last name.
Butcher it. Do it.
Yes, Megan Pagliaroni, I think.
Can I read it? Hold on.
Yeah, you can read it. Go ahead.
If it was an O, I would have gone Pagliaroni. But you would have hated me for that. So
I would have indeed. But
Pagliaroni, that's it's Italian.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. But if you are interested, this artist can be found on Instagram at starving_and_arting. Or on Twitter at Smalltown Inc.
Okay.
So for any of you interested in potentially digging around and finding out what this art piece looks like, there you go. There's some socials.
All right. Okay, we've had our sip of coffee. The next thing is the Monster, which we previewed at the end of the last episode. So Jack, what's the Monster of the day? I know what it is, but the listeners don't.
Today's Monster of the day is the Rakshasa.
Kitty.
Yeah, big fluffy cat. It is a medium lawful evil fiend.
That's right. The spooky times are over as of when this episode will probably air, but we're still doing fiends.
Yeah, we are on a bit of a fiend theme.
Yeah.
They are quite an interesting bunch. Lots of variety, as you may be surprised to hear.
I mean, because the thing is I think what people often get confused with fiends is they hear fiend as a creature type in D&D and they automatically either go it's either a demon from the abyss or it's a devil, or something like that.
Indeed.
And then so they kind of dichotomize it like that. But fiends can be from other places too, and other types other than demons and devils. So yeah. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. The Rakshasas, I mean, it does, for the lore as written in the manual for them, they do have their origins down in the Nine Hells. Of course, they don't look necessarily quite as you might expect them. They don't look as you would expect a fiend to look like, I should say, rather. Mm-hmm. As they are indeed big
kitty cats.
Big kitty cats, big tiger boys.
Tiger people.
Yes.
All right. Tell us about the Rakshasa, Jack.
So you may be able to tell a Rakshasa apart from other creatures because of their very noteworthy mutation, deformity. I don't know exactly what you want to call it, but they got the palms on the back of their hands.
Their hands are reversed or something.
Yeah, their hands are reversed, so that makes them rather interesting looks-wise, just on a purely aesthetic level.
Makes things hard to grip.
Yeah, you have to definitely get used to that. But the Rakshasas themselves, they have an armor class of 16, that is natural armor. They have 110 hit points with 13d8 plus 52 hit die. and a speed of 40 feet. So they are a little bit faster than your average human, but not too fast. In terms of their scores, they have a strength of 14, a dexterity of 17, a constitution of 18, an intelligence of 13, wisdom of 16, and the big boy stat is a charisma of 20 for that nice +5 bonus. Makes sense, given that they are a fiend. The Rakshasa does have some proficiency in 2 skills. Deception gets a +10 bonus, and Insight gets a +8 bonus. So a little extra in there for you. In terms of damage, resistances, immunities, and vulnerabilities, which I don't know if we've actually covered a creature that has vulnerabilities yet.
Well, we did the vampire last episode, but it doesn't have like vulnerabilities. It has like weaknesses. It's like it can't go over running water, blah blah blah. Some like sensitivity, but you know.
Do you want to talk about what a damage vulnerability is?
If it takes damage of that particular type in its vulnerability list, you double it.
Yeah,
it's the opposite of resistance. Instead of dividing by 2, you multiply by 2.
It's a bit of a bitch to have on a stat block if you're that particular creature, but you live with what you live with.
Well, hopefully your players, when you run monsters, don't know the vulnerabilities off the top of their head.
Hopefully so.
Don't metagame.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. That's bad. What are its vulnerabilities, though?
Its vulnerabilities are piercing from magic weapons wielded by good creatures, which I think is one of the most interesting vulnerabilities that I've ever read, because that is very specific.
So you have to... It just says any kind of good. It just says good aligned.
Piercing from magic weapons wielded by good creatures. It does not specify, of course. We have our own thoughts on the alignment chart, but
if
generally...
you do away with the alignment chart, this vulnerability does not exist.
Yeah, I could definitely see you wording this in a way that if you don't go with the, rules as written alignment chart, you could just have, somebody, if this is wielded by a, non-evil doer.
Non-evil character. Well, it's weird that it's specifically piercing.
Yeah.
There's probably an explanation for that later, but who knows?
Yeah, we can perhaps...
There's probably a lore explanation for why they don't like piercing damage in particular, but that's like such a specific type that it's like...
I know.
Your character is going to have to either use like a magic bow or like a magic rapier or something like that.
Dagger as well.
Dagger.
Yeah.
I think short swords do piercing too, which I always thought was weird because they do piercing instead of slashing.
Do they?
Yeah, I think so. Here, I'm going to look it up. Hold on.
Okay.
Continue with the Rakshasa.
Well, besides that vulnerability to that very specific damage type, it does have some immunities. It is immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. So there you go. Still, though, if
he ain't no bitch.
Yeah, he ain't no bitch. But again, so that's an interesting dichotomy there in its vulnerabilities versus immunities. Going beyond that, it does have dark vision out to 60 feet and a passive perception of 13. Not the highest, but again, not terrible.
Short sword does 1d6 piercing damage, yeah. Confirmed, short sword is piercing.
In terms of languages, the Rakshasa speaks both Common and Infernal. Of course, it being a fiend, that makes very much sense. And as we've discussed before, challenge rating is... It's a useful tool, but it's not like, God's law. Don't take that as...
6th edition needs to have a better scale. 1D&D needs to have a better challenge rating scale. It's 6th edition, guys, or it's 5.5. Don't get me started on that. This whole 1D&D... I think the title is funky.
It's an interesting choice.
It's an interesting choice, but, it's probably going to be one of those things where it's like, they update it and then only a few people... A majority of people are going to play it, but then there's going to be a bunch of people that stick with, like, their favorite edition. Because there's still people out there that only run, like, 3.5. Some people that run 4th. Some people that can't play 1st edition.
A topic for another time.
Yeah. But, Yeah.
Challenge rating is useful as a guideline.
I think it just needs to kind of, they need to remeasure it or figure out a better way of scaling. There's probably people out there that have a better way of determining like what challenge, how to make scale something up or down to your party. If you have a particular method that you'd like to share it in the comments, or don't. I don't rule you. I'm not your boss, so you know. Anyways, about the Rakshasa's challenge rating.
The Rakshasa's challenge rating is 13. So, if killed, grants a total of 10,000 XP. I think that's really the only kind of useful thing you get from a challenge rating is, you know...
You get an XP estimate.
An XP
estimate.
If
you're not doing milestone. Because a lot of people do milestone, a lot of people don't. So
just depends on what you're running. You know, every group is a little different. Continuing on. Oh.
Yep, go ahead.
Continuing on. This is a fun one. It has limited magic immunity. The Rakshasa can't be affected or detected by spells of 6th level or lower unless it wishes to be. Which is quite interesting. I do like that.
How do you think that works with like a paladin feature, like divine sense? Like on a case-by-case basis, would you say? I think you would have to tie it to like...
Well, this does specify spells, not magical effects. So I would say that you would still be able to detect it.
Okay.
But if you're trying to, you know, locate creature...
If you're trying to do locate creature or like detect evil and good, it's not gonna work.
Yes, it will remain
Honestly,
hidden.
Like if I had this, and like there was a paladin in the party or something like that with divine sense, so they can detect a fiend or something like that. I would probably tie it more to like the character level. I don't know.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
But in addition, the Rakshasa has advantage on saving throws against all other spells and magical effects. So I know Divine Sense doesn't have a saving throw.
No.
But for any other spell or effect, it has advantage. So
yeah,
it's a tough cookie versus magic. You gotta be very strategic were you to come up against this on the field of battle.
Mm-hmm.
That said, the Rakshasa does have innate spellcasting. It's got Charisma as its ability modifier, with a save DC of 18 and a plus 10 to hit with its spell attack, so that's fairly decent.
Yep.
It can cast the following spells requiring no material components.
That's always nice.
Yep. At will, it can cast Detect Thoughts, Disguise Self, Mage Hand, and Minor Illusion.
Yeah, they gotta do the disguise self pretty often to hide their fucked up hands.
Yeah, I imagine that would definitely throw people off.
Here's what they do, is they cast disguise self so they don't look like a demon cat thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because their hands are gonna, like, not exactly follow the illusion, they use the mage hand as part of the illusion to grip things.
Oh my goodness.
That's how they do it. Because disguise self doesn't require concentration, so, they just do that.
That is true. I mean, you get a little sleight of hand action going on. I mean, you could finagle the rules a little to make it work.
Yeah.
I like that because, the backwards hands is a dead giveaway for a Rakshasa. That's like it's, big defining.
There's like a later tab on Rakshasas or somebody said, I don't remember where I heard this, but it was something like Rakshasas try to pass off as like Tabaxi or Leonin sometimes.
Yeah.
To blend in normally, but but they have to wear gloves so that they don't give away like their fiendish nature.
Yeah.
With the backwards hands.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But imagine if you were just a regular Tabaxi and you were born with backwards hands, just out of nowhere. You're not a Rakshasa or anything like that, but you just have backwards hands because you just have a birth deformity.
Oh goodness, that'd be a rough upbringing.
And then people would just be innately untrusting of you, and they'd be like, "Demon spawn," and you'd be like, "I was just born this way."
Oof. That's big yikes.
Yeah.
That's I mean, hey, that's some really interesting character notes for...
That's going to be my next D&D character. You heard it here, folks. Tabaxi with backwards hands, constantly mistaken for a Rakshasa. But he's also going to be a warlock. He's going to be a fiend warlock, and his fiend patron is going to be a Rakshasa. So gonna be like, why am I the way that I am? And the Rakshasas are gonna be like, I don't know, bro.
Bet. I bet you won't. Prove me wrong.
It's not gonna happen. Most of my character ideas just end up in like a box under
It's still a fun idea. I might use that for an NPC at some point.
Yeah, that's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, in addition to those at-will spells, the Rakshasa also has some additional spells it can cast 3 times a day each. So, those spells are Charm Person, Detect Magic,
Yes.
Invisibility, Major Image, and Suggestion. I do like Suggestion. That's a fun spell.
Suggestion is always fun.
It's nice to use to, fuck around with people.
Yeah.
And then it gets the following spells once per day each. Dominate Person, Fly, Plane Shift, and True Seeing. So you get some very, devilish spells in there with Dominate Person, and I like to think Plane Shift, going back and forth between the planes, but I think that's a very interesting set of spells. No like damage dealing spells or anything, but it is. I feel this creature is a creature of subterfuge.
Yeah.
Which I like. Those are always fun to play and to interact with versus, like a pit fiend where it's just this big hulking fiend that's going to bash its way through any foe in its path.
This one wants to trick you.
Yeah, I do like that. Can be a little hard to play sometimes if you're a DM without giving the ball away.
Yeah.
A pit fiend is rather straightforward. A Rakshasa, you got to be sly, you got to be sneaky, you got to be quick on your feet, and you got to have your wits about you.
You also got to land on your feet because you're a cat.
Yeah, that is true.
Cats always land on their feet.
Always. You ever know that? Like, what if you strap a piece of buttered bread to the back of a Rakshasa and you throw it off a roof? Is it gonna like? Well, what lands on the floor first? Is it the feet or is it the buttered side of the bread?
What if you also strapped a Vans sneaker to it? So you have butter, cat, Vans sneakers, which always land upright. I think at that point you rip a hole in the universe.
I could tell you the answer.
What?
None, because it has the fly spell.
Ah, damn it.
Gotcha, bitch.
God damn it. I've been got, guys. I quit this podcast.
I got him.
It's no longer fun because Jack got me so good.
It wasn't that good a god, but The Rakshasa also has a couple of action features in here. It does have.
I don't care about those.
No, you don't.
No, I'm
How
kidding.
else is it going to defend itself?
I'm kidding. Just continue.
Okay, all right, fine. The Rakshasa does have multi-attacks, so it can make 2 claw attacks, as claws are its only form of defense.
You do that with backwards hands, though. I guess you have to develop a certain fighting technique.
Yeah, like Badger Mole or something,
Yeah, it's almost because their hands are backwards, so they would have to kind of swipe back or something like that. Like they couldn't do this like a normal cat would. Like they can't do it.
I mean, it's just the same motion. You just turn your wrist a different way.
Sure, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking too hard about these backwards hands.
It's just because we do not have backwards hands.
We don't have a reference.
That is why.
If you have backwards hands, tell us in the comments, or don't. I don't know.
Oh goodness! Don't make them call themselves out like that.
I don't know. Maybe it's an actual thing that happens to people, but or they're born with. So who knows?
Medical mysteries. That'd be something to look up.
It's not a podcast.
Yeah. In terms of its claw attack, it has a +7 to hit and a reach of 5 feet, so you do got to be up close and personal to face this guy. On a hit, it deals 2d6 +2 slashing. On a hit, it deals 2d6 +2 slashing damage, and the target is cursed if it is a creature. The magical curse takes effect whenever the target takes a short or long rest, filling the target's thoughts with horrible images and dreams. The cursed target gains no benefit from finishing a short or long rest, and the curse lasts until it is lifted by a remove curse spell or similar magic. I like that. It's a subtle little effect that you don't have to mention to your players.
It's just a tiny little fuck you.
Yeah, you don't have to mention it to your players if you hit them with it.
Yeah.
You just wait for them to rest and be like, okay, you get no benefit. And then they go, what?
Huh?
And then you have to be like, oh, I don't know. Maybe you got to do a little investigation and find out what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
I like this. This is fun.
That's pretty fun.
So,
is there anything else we should know about it? Or
that is all that is on the Rakshasa's stat block, my good sir. They are pretty interesting. I like the subtlety and the nuances with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess we should talk about if we would use it.
Yeah, do you like it, or is this one that you think?
As usual, this is a monster that I have put in my campaign, but like it didn't get to fight it because this guy was trapped. Remember, if any of you were paying attention last episode, I had a vampire villain in my game, and he had a secret laboratory that my players got into, and in that secret laboratory he had this extra dimensional mirror prison thing that could shift between like different cells, and in one of the cells was he had imprisoned a Rakshasa, and the Rakshasa begged you guys to set him free.
I do recall, yeah.
And you guys were like, no. And then just passed him over.
Wasn't there a, like, side mission that some of us went on to go take out a Rakshasa mob boss?
That was a were-tiger.
Were-tiger. Okay, that's my bad then. Were-tiger, Rakshasa, I mean, they're not the same, but they're a fluffy boy.
That's another thing that a Rakshasa could pose as, too, because, like, were-tigers are a thing, and they're technically lawful good, I think. So, like, they're kind of sentient. I mean, I'm assuming most lycanthropes are sentient, but, like, in their beast form, I think they're, like...
They have more control.
They have more control than others.
That would make sense.
So, like, I think that's another thing Rakshasas can probably pose as were-tigers or something. Because they are tigers. When we say kitty cat, a Rakshasa is a tiger-looking thing.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But... doesn't look like my cats. Doesn't.
That is true. I mean, it's orange.
Yeah,
it's
orange. Yeah,
but
just like my kitties.
Yeah. But you've used this before. We didn't get to fight it.
I've used
but
it.
We used it.
You didn't fight it.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure if I would use it in combat because I feel like it's such like a. I like having. There's a certain amount of complexity I like, and this feels more roguish, but I definitely prefer stat blocks that are like... I have a variety, but they're mainly for hitting things hard.
Yes.
That's the majority of what I like.
My hit points recall this, yes.
Yes.
I like this complexity. I really like how this is laid out. The damage vulnerability is very specific, but... You know, again, it's something fun to play with.
I mean,
Would I use this? Yes.
It's also it's so specific to the point where it's like it's probably not going to be exploited because like it has to be a good character, which probably won't even happen or something. It probably won't even happen if you don't care about alignment in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And since it's just piercing damage, then it if you don't have a party member that has a piercing weapon, then you don't have to worry about this. So,
yeah, that is true. That is true.
But yeah.
Would you want to change anything about this stat block for the Rakshasa?
I don't know, not really. I don't think so. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would make me want to change it anyways.
Yeah. I'm quite pleased with this. Like the Pit Fiend, I think it's a really
I think it's got a really decent armor class for its challenge rating. Too.
Yeah.
So it's that could be another thing too. Is he looks unarmored, and then somebody if you get into combat with him, and then it's just haha, your blow doesn't exactly connect.
Yeah, with a 16, and that's natural armor. There's no mage armor. There's no studded leather. There's no plate. Nothing. It's just natural armor. Which I think is an interesting choice. So yeah, I like this. I want to use this after rereading this because I've looked through the monster manual so many times and thought, what would be fun?
Since your next campaign is going to be all furries.
Oh God,
this will fit perfectly.
Now listen, it's not all furries.
You heard it here first, folks. Jack's next campaign is going to be all about anthropomorphic characters.
I mean, a good chunk of those island nations will be.
Okay. Yeah.
You've also got winged elves.
Winged elves? Where did you get that from?
An old supplemental.
You didn't just like reflavor like the new elves from Spelljammer?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I have to take a closer look at those.
We'll have to review some of the Spelljammer content at some point.
Oh yeah,
it is new.
We should do an episode on that.
On new Spelljammer stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
So yeah, is there anything else you have to say about the Rakshasa, or would you like to leave our thoughts at that?
No, I think that's honestly all I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about that. I'm Forrest Gump.
Oh goodness, there we go.
Hey man, Forrest Gump is a good movie.
Iconic character.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Forrest Gump now. This is a movie podcast now.
Stay tuned for the sequel podcast coming to you live 3 months from now. No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, maybe I should because like I
You're Mr. Film Major, right?
Okay.
Mr. Screenwriter?
Again, disclaimer. I went to film school, but I'm not a film dick. I'm not like that, guys. Please don't judge me too harshly.
You can judge him a little bit, just not harshly.
I mean, I went for like writing and TV production too, so I was always like I wanted to be more technical rather than artsy. I mean, there's a certain artsy element to writing stuff.
Yes.
But you know. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should do like a offshoot thing where we talk about film and
TV,
films and TVs that we like.
We are in the golden age of
of streaming.
Yeah.
And binging stuff and
there's a lot we could do.
Rebooting everything into the ground.
Yes.
That is a lot of stuff we can talk about.
Thoughts for another time.
Yeah. Anyways, that's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about D&D.
Yes.
So now that we've talked about our good old friend the Rakshasa, we've said our piece about it. You know what time it is, Jack?
No, I don't. What time is it?
It's about noonish. Right
Oh
now.
my God, you're right. It is noon. Oh my God.
It's random topic time is what it is.
Random topic time. Oh
Random
my
topic.
God. Okay.
And we're back. Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty. Or we don't have to mention that.
That's fine. It's all being worked out as we speak. Okay, listen, this is episode 4, okay? We're still getting our shit together.
Okay, yeah.
We're getting our feces compacted.
What the fuck?
We're getting our shit together.
Oh.
Get the shit together.
Okay.
Feces compacted, you know?
That just sounded weird.
It's a nicer way of saying you're getting our shit together.
Okay.
We're getting our feces compacted.
That just, okay.
If you're not used to it, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
All right.
It's fine.
Well, you know what? Another technical difficulty, guys. Well, it's time for our random topic of the day.
Ooh, random
Finally.
topic.
We got, and hold on, I'm gonna roll this next to the mic so people can hear.
Ah, yes.
Because we want to roll dice now instead of using a random number generator. So
Yeah, let's see what we got.
Let's see if the click clack can be heard. Okay.
What's our number? 40...
48.
48! All right. Looking at
we're
our...
counting these by twos. So 40.
Yes, we are going the way of Wizards of the Coast. We're doing it like the the WoW Magic Surge table. We're being smart instead of, rolling a random number generator 1 through 50. It's roll a D100 and see what's there.
Jack and I are a little dumb.
We are a little nutty. We're sorry. But for number 48, our topic is favorite villains.
Right. So,
villains.
Do we want to do this like you talk about your favorite from mine and I talk about my favorite from your campaign, or should we like talk about our own favorites from our own campaigns? I don't know.
I feel like we should do both.
Okay.
And then we can go beyond just our own personal campaigns and go beyond to, like, villain archetypes that we really like.
Okay.
You know, in other media as well. Things to draw inspiration from, perhaps.
You go first, then. Talk about your favorite villain from my campaign, because I need my ego stroked.
Oh, if you want to get stroked, my guy.
No. Not by you.
Fine. All right.
Not in that way. PG-13.
Fine. I'll behave myself.
Okay.
Favorite villain from Grimwald? That's an interesting question. There's been such a variety of villains. I don't know whether it should be the one that has just been very satisfying to interact with, or the one that I'm always yearning to learn more about. I think
Flip a coin.
I know. I'll do those two. My favorite one that had a very satisfying interaction and ending was Mick Bitch, aka Mick Roth,
the high priest from the
a corrupt high priest from the dastardly church who was doing terrible things to good people and met a swift end once he was captured and imprisoned.
He was leading an inquisition for the Covenant, and then he was just a bad dude.
He was doing a lot. He was like a misogynist, a racist. He was a lot of bad things, and it was very satisfying to see him put down.
I know we talked about in a previous episode about like evil players and just don't make if evil line characters are being played, then just don't make them misogynistic, homophobic, or racist or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to make a character that everybody would be satisfied with killing.
It was
so
so
I just
satisfying.
decided to throw those all into an NPC.
Oh, it was so satisfying. And the best thing about that ending for him was that not just one person went to go kill him secretly in the middle of the night, but 3 people went to go kill him secretly in the middle of the night.
You all decided to imprison him.
Yes.
In your secret base.
Yes.
And then you all were like, we're going to let him stew in the prison cell, while like 3 of you were like thinking in the back of your minds, like, I'm going to go down there at midnight and like gut this motherfucker.
Yes. No, because we didn't want, our best friends and comrades to have that burden of just, a brutal execution in the prison cell. It's like, I will take that burden. And
you know what he did? He turned into a fucking werewolf.
And
then you killed him.
And then he met his final death.
He was a secret werewolf too. That was nothing.
That was a twist.
Continuing my endless train of like werewolf obsession. 'Cause you want to know why?
Why?
He was one of the sleeper werewolves that almost the main villain controlled.
Yeah, that makes...
Yeah. So that was continuing to add to the whole idea that Amos was puppeting the Covenant, and not only in the sense that like he had a lot of influence by posing as like a high priest, but like some of his colleagues were literally under his control.
Yeah.
So... Starting with Mick Roth, who was leading the Inquisition to try and get rid of the Helsing Order.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just very satisfying because the dude was just a dick.
Yeah.
It was so satisfying to just finally take him out.
He was a villain as a part of one of the character's backstory. He was like responsible for why his character experienced like so much trauma.
Yeah.
So it was just like mainly satisfying ending there for that guy.
So good. But that's the one that I think had the most satisfying end. The one that just continues to intrigue me, and I have so many thoughts about.
I know which one this is.
You know which one this is. Godfrey, correct?
Godfrey.
Yes.
So
who is a mirror image, basically. Not a mirror image, but like the other side of the coin to my character, I feel like. Because he's also a Shadar Kai.
Yeah, he's a Shadar Kai.
Yeah, but he's working for the enemy.
Yeah.
And it's just... He's so mysterious, and just... I have so many theories
for-
because there's so little I know.
For context, the lore in my game is the Shadar Kai are not elves. I know that like the books usually say the Shadar Kai are like from the elves from the Shadowfell or something like that.
Followers of the Raven Queen.
But I decided instead that Shadar Kai were mutations of humanoid races that had been teleported to the Shadowfell.
Yes.
And like the weird effects of that plane altered them, and then like eventually a gateway kind of opened for them to return. But because of like weird timey-wimey situations, like, you know, the decades or so that they spent in the Shadowfell was actually like on this plane only like maybe a few minutes to like a couple months or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So, you know, it was weird timey-wimey bullshit. So I just flavored it as mutations, and then like Jack's character was a Shadar Kai. He was one of those mutations. And then I decided to come up with a villain that was one of those mutations as well, just to fuck around with.
Yes.
He was kind of supposed to be just like a one-off villain, but then I was like, I can use this guy more.
Yes. He's so mysterious. We know so little about him.
Yeah.
And that's what
He's also appeared a couple times since like you first encountered him, and then he just kind of like fucks off because like the people that continue to encounter him are people that like don't really know him. So,
yeah.
Because like I think it was like some people changed their character. Yes. And then, like, when you guys encountered him again, it was, like, the two people that had changed their character, and those characters had no context for who this guy was. So they were just like, who are you, mysterious guy? Like...
Though, I mean, it's kind of... I feel like... Oh, this is to make an interesting reference. It's like that one commercial. It's like, I got you $1. And you're just yanking it away from me every time we get close. And I'm like, no, I want to...
Who knows? Maybe you'll get a satisfying conclusion to that soon.
I know, but it's fascinating. I want to know more.
Yeah.
I have so many theories.
Also, like... I'm not going to explain this now, but
don't tell me.
He stole power from the Lich, and you still don't know why.
I know.
So,
I have so many theories. I'm not about to explain them to you.
He destroyed, like, one of like the Lich's, like, power node things and like, monsters that represents a portion of the Lich.
Yeah.
And he just stole its power and fucked off. So, you guys are going to figure out why later. But
I am looking forward to that because I just... He's a fun character.
Yeah.
I look at him every time and I just think, you you know.
Yeah.
So I'm eager to find out more, and that's really... I like not knowing everything. I always like characters that have an air of mystery about them. To some degree. Not like, I know your name and that's it. But like, little bits I like.
Yeah.
All right, your turn. Stroke my ego.
Okay. Now my brain is failing me in terms of villains, because it's just like, because the thing in your campaign was we kind of had just this one overarching villain the entire time, and there weren't like very many like minions, I guess. I think like, okay,
I mean, there's been some.
Notable mention is because this one was like the most annoying to deal with. Just because, like, he was a henchman to the big bad, obviously. Yes. And we had heard his name, like, 1,000,000 times. Venris.
Oh, Venris.
So, like, he was the disciple of, like, one of the big bads, of the big bad of the campaign. And, like, we had heard that, like, this guy, Venris, was, like, tracking our group to, like, try and defeat us or something like that. But the thing was like, we didn't encounter him for a long time, and it was just a constant, like, we kept teleporting around because we had a helm of teleportation at that point, and we also had a wizard that had teleport, so it was just like we just kept bouncing around and avoiding this motherfucker.
Do you want to know basically what the vibe of his whole interaction with the group was? It's that story of the snail that kills you if it touches you, and it's like, it's a snail. It can only move as fast as a snail. It knows where you are. It is always after you.
Yeah.
And if it touches you, you die. But
Yeah.
you can run away from it. You can trap it, however you want. But it will find
totally
you.
that vibe. I think that was definitely one of my favorite villains. Because eventually when we encountered him, it was like, we didn't expect this motherfucker at all. And he was just like, you know how long I've been tracking you? We were like, I don't even know who you are. And then he's like, I'm Fenris. And we're like, oh.
Yeah, I think he only showed up for a whole, like, 3 sessions. He was only really, like, physically there. He was mentioned a bunch, but you guys just kept running away from him.
I don't really know if he's a villain either, but like the warlock patron that you made called the Whisperer is also fun. I mean, if anything, he's infuriating because it's just like, what's your deal, man? Like,
yeah.
Because he keeps on, because he's just this warlock patron character that we've heard a bunch of times and we know is like some sort of symbol of like ultimate chaos in the world or something like that and something to be heeded. But then it's just like we interacted with him and talked with him a couple times and it's just like, I don't get your vibe. I don't know what it is. Whose side are you playing? And he's like, it was infuriating to deal with him because it's like sometimes he would work against us, sometimes he would help us. And then, like, I literally made a contract with him towards the end of the campaign, simply for a single level in Hexblade Warlock. So
you have wanted that so badly.
Because I was like, please let me use my charisma for attacking instead of my, like, strength or dexterity.
Yeah.
Because my charisma is so much better. And I was like, the only way I can do that is with Hexblade Warlock. Hey, you, Whisperer motherfucker. You're, like, the only good, like, warlock entity that we've encountered. Give me some powers. And then we did just that.
Yeah. I like that. I'm glad that you like him. He's one that I enjoy playing.
Yeah. I like that both of us said our favorites, but neither of them were like the big bad.
I mean,
because the big bad in mine hasn't been very interactive.
I mean, every character but mine has spoken to him. I have not met him entirely, but we've all heard a great deal, and we've learned a lot.
Yeah,
he's fascinating. He's interesting. I just feel like once I get a little bit more interaction, I'll have a stronger opinion.
I will say, like, your big bad is like really good. There's just like,
I mean,
we killed him, so how good can he be?
I mean, I like all good writers, I steal from better writers.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
he's and this kind of goes ahead towards villain types. He has a little bit of some of my favorite villains. You've got a little bit of Arthas, the Lich King from World of Warcraft. You got a little bit of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. There's a little bit of the Sith Emperor from the Old Republic era of Star Wars. Vitiate, Valkorion. If you ever played Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah.
It's just an amalgamation of a lot of different things, all in one person.
Like, I think that says a lot about like the kind of archetype of villain you like whenever you're making villain NPCs.
Yes.
I prefer a lot of characters with I don't like warrior type big bads. I like the ones that are a little smart.
Yeah.
A little too smart. Whether that's subterfuge or, not necessarily being the one to pick up the sword, but to direct the people that will.
Yeah.
Because, like, that was the whole process in, like, creating, like, Amos and McRoth and Godfrey. Godfrey's a warrior type, but he's sneaky and he sticks to the shadows mostly, and he doesn't play his full hand, so to speak. Whereas McRoth is the one with a position of power that was able to just convince people that his prejudices were correct, and therefore caused a massive upheaval.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Amos is like he's been working from the shadows and playing this game of chess for a long time, and he's not necessarily a fighter, but he is incredibly smart, and he's had centuries to plan.
Yeah.
And he was even planning on subverting the actual big bad of my campaign, the Lich. He is like planning like this guy stole my birthright and my freedom from me, basically. I'm gonna get back at him. So, you know. And even the Lich too, like the big bad is like his whole thing was also like I'm gonna raise an army of the dead, but after that I'm just gonna sit back and, you know, watch the
world burn.
Watch the world burn sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always preferred villains that take more of a back seat. They're more mastermind types.
I was gonna say mastermind, you know,
warrior types.
Puppet masters, you know, the ones that pull the strings.
Yeah.
I love those characters so much.
Yeah, I do. That's my mainly favorite type of villain. I don't know if there's like. I'm trying to think of like villains in media that are like that, and I honestly feel like Palpatine,
Star Wars.
Yeah, Palpatine, the Emperor, I guess.
Yes,
people.
Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars.
Lord Sidious.
Yes.
Pupil of Darth Jar Jar. It's true, people.
Oh, God.
It's canon. It's in there.
Oh, Lord.
Look at the evidence. Darth Jar Jar is real.
I'm going to murder this man.
Okay. There's also, I guess Saruman is as well.
Saruman?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little similar.
Okay. A turncoat lieutenant?
Wait, what'd you say?
A turncoat lieutenant?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I honestly can't think of many more mastermind villains, but maybe that's just because
Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes.
Haven't seen Sherlock.
Well, I mean, just like
or read it, or I just haven't.
Oh, okay.
Sherlock has never been my thing.
Okay, well, Moriarty, you know, he is the mastermind. You know, he's got always in the shadows, but he's like behind everything.
I'm trying to think of if there's. You know what? Father from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, there you go.
The dwarf in the flask, the skin bag man.
Always a man with an anime reference ready to go.
Yeah, no, because I started rewatching that again because it's a good show. Brotherhood is the good one.
Yes.
The original one has its quirks and its decencies. And some point, the ending doesn't stick. It doesn't stick the landing. But yeah. I don't know. That's kind of, you know, the mastermind archetype is always what I've preferred more in terms of media. Because the other thing, too, is, like, the other part about mastermind type villains is, like, they're unassuming until you go to face them. And then it's like, so you have chosen death.
Yes.
It's totally that in that moment.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, it's, you know, the moment where Luke goes to face the Emperor and the Emperor shoots lightning at him. It's that moment. Or it's you know, the moment at the end of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, spoilers, where
spoiler alert,
father completes his ritual and joins with, quote, God. And it's like, holy shit, what?
Big nope.
And yeah. It's all those like I just like that masterminds are they don't need to prove their strength, so they'll take a back seat and they'll direct other people, but when you get near to them, they're unassuming and then they just fuck you up.
I love the villain types that have a contingency for every contingency, a plan within a plan. The ones that have, like I said, a finger in every pie, a string to every puppet. They've always got some card to play somewhere.
These villains have layers.
Yes,
like an onion
or an ogre. But because you know, there's just something about, you know, smart villains. I like smart villains.
Yeah.
Don't give me a dumb villain that's, you know, undone because his you know, the combination on his luggage is 1 2 3 4 5.
Yeah.
Spaceballs reference right there.
Yeah, good Spaceballs reference.
Good Spaceballs reference.
Spaceballs. Balls!
I was trying to think. I was like, what kind of a joke can I make? Like, there's a lot of space between these balls.
When in doubt, just like shout balls.
I mean, I don't know if that's the best thing to do, but you're certainly welcome to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have to say about my opinion on favorite villains.
Yeah.
I obviously I want to go back, loop back, and I want to say I do like your big bad.
Oh, thank you.
We killed him, so get wrecked.
I mean, yeah, it was. Well, I mean, we still have the recap episode coming up.
Yeah.
So the aftermath of all of his endeavors will have to be dealt with, or you'll see the outcome of everything, because you did defeat him.
Yeah, you did.
He was partially successful.
You told us, like, you know, write all your epilogues for all your characters.
Yeah.
And be like, write just something short, just to be like, here's how you want your character's story to wrap up. And then I'm just waiting for, like, we all sit down and we say all of our epilogues and all that. But then you guys like, great, actually all of those are false. Here's what actually happens. The world is destroyed.
Well, no, that's not gonna happen. Well, maybe not exactly, but I'm kidding. There's you were successful in killing him, but he was successful in some things.
Yeah.
The evil is vanquished.
Yes, the evil is vanquished. Yes. All is well.
All will be well. We have a wedding to plan.
All is well as in the state of Denmark.
Yes. It's always funny when I say that quote and nobody gets what I'm saying. I'm like, did you guys not read?
It's Hamlet.
I know, but some people don't get it. It does me a confusion.
Okay.
But I think that's it. I don't have anything more. We talked about our favorite villains from each other. Okay, well, what's your favorite character your favorite villain from your campaign? Which do you like the most?
My favorite?
Yeah.
It's the one that you guys hate the most. It's Amos.
Ah, yes, the vampire man.
Because I was just like... I don't know. I was obsessed with this, like, Dracula-type character for, like, quite a while. So I was like, how do I make the... I mean, obviously, Amos and Dracula are two very different flavors of vampire, but I just wanted, like, the whole, like, this guy wants to burn down the world because he lost one particular thing. And that's, like, kind of the same thing as, like, with Dracula. So I was just like... I like that character, so I'm gonna stick with that. What about you? From your own campaign.
Oh, goodness. I love the big bad very much. As much as I want to say, to put, you know, as like a runner-up, the Whisperer, I don't know if he counts as a true villain. But honestly, I think the two that... I think the big bad has to be my favorite.
Yeah.
And a close second being Lieutenant Broccoli.
Lieutenant Broccoli.
Lieutenant General Broccoli, as he has been dubbed by the party.
His name is Brockrick.
Yes.
But we called him Broccoli because we confused him. That's the other fun thing, that no matter how cool you make your villains' names sound, they're going to, like, your players are going to turn it into a meme. Yeah. In some way.
It's been done for both of our campaigns.
Yeah.
Brockrick became Broccoli. Onavora became Onahora.
Yeah. Mick Roth just became Mick Bitch because you were just like... I think it was honestly just because somebody knew, like, there was the Mick sound in front of it. Yeah. But they didn't remember what the last part was. So it was like, Mick Bitch.
Yeah. It was either... I think it might have been Meek that did that. Yeah. I don't remember. It's been a while.
I don't think there have been many other, like, memed names in my game, but I don't know.
I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'd have to go looking through my notes.
Not a villain, but you know it was one that got memed a whole lot.
What?
Bono. made a character that was a mob boss. Oh. And his name was Bono.
Bono Giovanni. Hey.
And I don't know. I kind of did the most, like, terrible rendition of, like, a mafia boss, and then I was just like, I think it's because somebody accidentally called him Banyo once. And it was like, yes, Mr. Bathroom.
Yes, Don Bathroom.
Don Bathroom.
Don Banyo. Oh, goodness. Yes. I Again, I wouldn't call him a villain, but...
He's not a villain, but that's a memed name.
Yes.
From my campaign.
I do love it.
Oh.
But I can't think of anything else that we need to cover there. But,
yeah, my face hurts a little from laughing.
I know. I'm tearing up because of Bono.
All right. Well, I think that's all for this episode.
Yes.
Jack, can we give him a little preview of what we're talking
about
next
episode? A little
episode?
preview. Ooh. Let me see. Well, I'll tell you this. You won't see it coming.
All right. We're going to leave you with that ominous line.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a hint.
Yeah.
But it's a warning.
Yeah, it's a hint and a warning. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. So that wraps it up for us. We had fun.
Yeah,
we had fun.
Good episode.
We're getting the hang of this.
Yeah. Trying some new things out every time we do an episode. Trying to find the groove.
Minor technical difficulties along the way.
Yeah,
it's fine. Figure it out eventually.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Coffee and Commoners. I'm Jack.
I'm Austin. We'll see you when you see you. Bye.
Stay caffeinated.